Hey all, my name's Ryan. I wanted to do a little bit of an introduction here for people who might not know me and might be your first time seeing any of this on YouTube. Um, I'm one of the hosts of the podcast Blatebringers. You can find us on the More Than Dice Network, and the point of this entire channel is going to be for Warmachine and getting through some of the stuff that's hard to necessarily do in a talking format. For people who don't know me personally, my minis gaming journey started over 20 years ago at this point, which is a terrifying thing to say. I started playing 40K back in high school, a couple of years back, about a decade ago now. Basically stopped playing it almost entirely. A friend jumped onto Warmachine, and I've been hooked ever since. I've been to the WTC once, a couple of years back. Great experience. I recommend anyone who can go to go. But I regularly go to conventions along the East Coast. I love to paint. I love to play the game, and I'm just here to try and show off some cool things, uh, painting, and some concepts that are just kind of harder to do in a spoken format. Deployment strategies, how to use and abuse terrain, how to interact with scenarios, things that generally are going to be easier to explain with a visual element to them. I'm going to try and bring some guests on here as needed to talk about stuff, talk about painting techniques, talk about strategy. Um, really just kind of go a little more in depth into some things that are just harder to talk about without that visual element. If you want to hear more of like list analysis or talk machine, please check out the podcast. We're on the More Than Dice Network. We have over 100 episodes by a long shot at this point, and have been going for something like 7 or 8 years. Um, you know, it's a great time. Please check us out. Please take a listen. For today, what I want to talk about is the new core book that just came out, or is just going to be coming out. I was lucky enough to pick it up at Lock and Load this year, and honestly, this thing is super dope. Right? So, what is it? It's a book that Steamforged Games has put out that includes a quick start guide, a bunch of fluff, a bunch of rules, or the entire rule book um, in one package. Uh, Goes out for about $45, which like isn't bad, quite honestly, for what's in it. Um, you know, for as far as like usefulness, for new players, there is a quick start guide. There's a little bit of history if you haven't been playing for as long as like me, uh, and it gives you a history of both the world, the nations of the world, and then dives in more into the individual kind of factions that are running it, as well as the armies. Um, it's a great quick start if you're new and have never seen any of this before, don't know a lot about it. Highly recommend. But even if you're a vet, honestly, if you're like me, where you just really like the art and some of the fluff, I would 100% recommend picking it up. Um, it's got a lot in there, and I think it's super cool. Um, when you open it up, inside is a one-page quick start that gives you a bunch of templates you're going to need for the quick start game that you can photocopy and cut out, or just cut them right out of there, as well as an ad for P3 Paint, which you're going to see a lot if you watch this channel. I've basically swapped over almost entirely to it. It's a great system. I love it. There's a foreword written by Matt Hart. It starts us off before getting into the book proper. The book itself comes out at about 137 pages, 11 of which are dedicated to the IK history, another 11 to a bit of fluff for each major current day player in the world, as well as some background lore and some of the background players, at least currently. That includes Menoth, Circle, Scorn, Lael, Ord, and Rule. There's some honestly beautiful art accompanying each of these, roughly half page deep dives into the factions. Following that, there's a quick start guide for the Kador and Signar two-player box, including deployment, scenario, and a play guide for the first two turns to show you how to do everything and really, really explain it to you. It goes very in depth into how every single step works, from the very first maintenance phase all the way to feeding, how spells work, how movement works, how targeting. It goes through everything step by step. So if you're new and you've never played before, it will walk you through and explain exactly why everything works the way that it does. Um, it goes on for about 13 pages, does the first two turns for you, and then says, "Here you go, have at it." After that, there's another 8 dedicated to the current and future armies, showing up some of the fantastic model shots for armies that currently have models, so like your Storm Legion, your Gravediggers. It also gives a little bit of fluff for armies that are currently going to be coming in the future, right? Your Fane of Nero, your Emberfrost Shard, your Reaper Covenant, ones that don't necessarily have models yet, but it gives you that background to let you know what are these, why do they matter, why do they exist. Um, there's also maps of the world. There's, like I said, some just honestly beautiful artwork that goes through everything for different armies. Entire like 2 or 3 page shots of different scenes. Um, it's a great way to get into the lore. It's a great way to get into some of that history that you might be missing otherwise, and it gives you kind of a scale of what you're looking at. The rest of the book is dedicated almost entirely to the rules and includes, the timing charts, faction-specific rules for Suffix, Convergence, Pharaoh, Gatorman, Grimkin, Infernals, and as well as the Rulik armies, and icon references. Um, the number one thing when you're looking at something like this is it a good buy? Is it worth the price? Personally, for $45, I think so. Um, you know, everybody in your group doesn't need one, but if you're really into the art and the fluff like I am, it's worth it just for that. If you're new, it's a great way to kickstart guide everything off. The important part of it, though, is that it isn't actually needed. All of the rules, all of the everything else, except for I think the quick start guide is available on the app. So go to your app store of choice. There's a Warmachine app. Download that. It will let you build your armies. It'll give you all of the rules for free. It'll give you all of the model rules for free, the core rules, everything else. That will all be right there. You can get it on your phone, tablet, what have you, and it's all available free of charge. The book shows a little bit more into, like I said, that kind of fluff, that kind of history, and just the arts. The other thing is currently it's end of November, probably beginning of December by the time I edit this and post it. And the annual update is coming in January. Uh, one concern I've heard is people saying, well, if there's an update in January, is this going to be changed? The SFG guys had said recently that no, none of the core rules are changing heavily, going forward. So, at least for this year, this will be valid for another year. There are some things that I know, obviously, we know are changing. So, anyone who's playing current day, like the spell rack is going away. The rules for it are still in there, but come January, they just won't be on the cards anymore. There won't be lists. But the rules for it are still there. If they ever decide to go back to it, they haven't just removed them. So if you would rather, play in your current group with the racks and whatnot, you can still do that. All of the rules are still there. Um, so, check that out. Otherwise, I'm going to try and show off some of the book. Please just take a look and let me know in the comments what you think. Would love to hear back from anybody. And yeah, hopefully I'll be back shortly to bring off, some painting and some play guides, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much for checking it out. Hope this little 10-minute introduction and showing off of the rule book is worth it, and it's a thing that you really enjoy and get something out of. Talk to you. Bye.